The sun rose over the sprawling wilderness, casting golden rays across the open plains. A lone Mustang galloped freely, its dark mane flowing in the wind. This was its kingdom, a vast expanse where strength and freedom intertwined. The Mustang's powerful strides carried it through grasslands and valleys, where danger and beauty coexisted. Every step echoed its wild spirit, untamed and unbroken. Yet, even in a realm of such splendor, hidden perils lurked. The Mustang paused by a stream, drinking deeply, unaware that its curiosity would soon lead it astray. Driven by instinct, it ventured farther than ever before, drawn to a new scent on the breeze. The air grew heavy, the terrain unfamiliar. Beneath the horse's hooves, the ground subtly shifted, softening. Oblivious, the Mustang pressed onward, its confidence unwavering. But in the wilderness, even the strongest must confront the unexpected. The Mustang trotted through a narrow valley, its ears twitching at the sounds of distant birds. It followed a trail where the grass grew thick, a path untrodden by its herd. The freedom of solitude was intoxicating, and it relished the adventure. But as the sun climbed higher, the air grew warmer, and the ground beneath its hooves began to change. The once firm earth became soft and spongy. Each step sank slightly deeper than the last. The Mustang's gait slowed, caution taking hold. Its nostrils flared as it sniffed the air, sensing something unfamiliar. It hesitated, its instincts whispering a warning, but the lush grass ahead was too tempting. It stepped forward again, then suddenly froze. One hoof sank further than it should have, the ground pulling it down. Startled, the Mustang whinnied, its first cry of alarm echoing across the valley. Panic set in as the Mustang's powerful legs sank deeper into the quicksand. It reared back, trying to free itself, but the ground tightened its grip with every struggle. The more it fought, the faster it sank. The once proud leader of its herd was now vulnerable, its cries for help ringing out into the wilderness. The birds that had filled the valley with song moments earlier fell silent, as if nature itself mourned the Mustang's plight. Exhaustion began to creep in as the horse's muscles burned from the effort. Its black mane, once a symbol of its freedom, now clung to its neck, matted with sweat. The Mustang's wide eyes searched the horizon for any sign of salvation, but the valley was empty. For the first time, fear overwhelmed the majestic creature. Hope seemed to fade with the sun sinking lower in the sky. Far away, a lone wanderer named Jack trekked through the wilderness, his steps deliberate and steady. Jack was no stranger to the perils of the wild, having spent years exploring its beauty and danger. As he walked, a faint, distressed cry reached his ears. He paused, tilting his head to listen. The sound was unmistakable, the desperate whinny of a horse. Without hesitation, Jack adjusted his pack and quickened his pace. Guided by the cries, he navigated through thickets and over rocky terrain, his heart pounding with urgency. When he finally reached the edge of the valley, the sight before him stopped him in his tracks. There, trapped in a patch of quicksand, was the most magnificent Mustang he'd ever seen. Its struggles were growing weaker, its cries softer. Jack knew he had to act quickly. The animal's time was running out. Jack wasted no time. Dropping his pack, he surveyed the area for anything that could aid in the rescue. His eyes landed on a sturdy branch and a coil of rope he carried. Moving cautiously, he approached the Mustang, speaking softly to calm it. "Easy, boy," he murmured, his voice steady. The horse's ears flicked toward him, a sign it had heard him. Jack's heart ached at the sight of the majestic creature, brought low by the merciless grip of the quicksand. He tied the rope to the branch, creating a makeshift lever. Securing the other end around the Mustang's torso, he positioned himself for the first pull. "We're getting you out of this," he promised. With a deep breath, Jack began to pull. The rope strained under the weight, and the Mustang's body shifted slightly. It was a start, but the battle was far from over. The Mustang's initial reaction was to thrash, its survival instincts urging it to fight. Jack braced himself, his boots digging into the soft ground as he held firm. "Easy," he said again, his voice calm but commanding. The horse's wild eyes met his, and for a brief moment, Jack thought he saw a flicker of understanding. Adjusting his grip on the rope, Jack heaved again, his muscles straining under the effort. The Mustang's front legs emerged slightly, but the Quicksand fought back, sucking it down again. Jack's breaths came in short gasps, but he refused to give up. The horse's struggles began to slow, not from trust but from sheer exhaustion. Jack knew time was running out. He paused to reassess, wiping sweat from his brow. "Stay with me," he urged, determination flaring anew. The fight to save the Mustang was just beginning. Jack adjusted his strategy, using a nearby log to create more leverage. Wrapping the rope securely around it, he leaned his full weight into the pull. The Mustang's chest rose higher out of the muck, a small but significant victory. Jack's heart pounded with renewed hope. The horse let out a soft whinny, its ears flicking forward. It was a sign of life, a sign that it hadn't given up yet. Encouraged, Jack called out to it. "That's it, keep fighting." Sweat dripped down his face as he worked tirelessly, his muscles burning with effort. Inch by inch, the Mustang's powerful body began to emerge from the quicksand. Jack's resolve only grew stronger. The bond between man and beast, though unspoken, was palpable. Together, they were defying the odds, proving that even in the harshest conditions, perseverance could prevail. As nightfall approached, exhaustion loomed over both Jack and the Mustang. The battle against the quicksand was taking its toll. Jack's arms ached, his hands raw from the rope. The Mustang's struggles had grown weaker, its once vibrant spirit dimmed by fatigue. For a moment, despair threatened to consume Jack. He dropped to his knees, staring at the magnificent creature before him. "I can't lose you," he whispered, his voice cracking. The wilderness was unforgiving, a place where survival often felt impossible. But Jack refused to let hopelessness win. Summoning every ounce of strength, he rose to his feet. He adjusted the rope once more, ensuring it wouldn't slip. "One more time," he said aloud, his voice firm. With a deep breath, he pulled harder than ever before. The Mustang's body shifted again, and hope flickered in Jack's chest. The fight was not over yet. The final moments were the hardest. Jack poured every ounce of strength into the pull, his entire body straining against the weight. The Mustang's chest and front legs were free, its hooves finally finding solid ground. The horse let out a loud, defiant cry, as if reclaiming its will to survive. With one last heave, Jack pulled the rest of the Mustang's body from quicksand. The exhausted animal collapsed onto the solid earth, its sides heaving as it gasped for air. Jack fell to his knees beside it, his chest heaving with relief. The battle was won, but both man and beast were utterly spent. Jack reached out a trembling hand, brushing it gently against the Mustang's mud-covered neck. "You made it," he whispered. The horse's ears flicked in response, a silent acknowledgement of their shared triumph. Against all odds, they had prevailed. The Mustang lay on the ground, trembling from exhaustion. Jack knelt beside it, his hands gentle as he brushed away clumps of mud. The horse's breathing was shallow but steady, a sign it was still fighting. Jack retrieved a small flask of water from his pack and poured it into his cupped hand. "Here, drink," he murmured, offering it to the Mustang. The horse's nostrils flared as it sniffed the water, then it licked his hand hesitantly. Jack's heart swelled with relief. "You're tougher than you look," he said with a faint smile. As the night deepened, Jack built a small fire to keep them warm. He stayed close to the Mustang, speaking softly to reassure it. The bond between them grew stronger with each passing moment. The wilderness was still dangerous, but together they had survived the worst. A fragile hope began to take root. The first light of dawn bathed the valley in soft hues of gold and pink. Jack stirred awake, his body aching from the previous day's ordeal. He glanced at the Mustang, which had managed to rise to its feet. Though unsteady, it stood tall, its spirit unbroken. Jack smiled, pride and admiration filling his chest. "You're a fighter," he said, rising to his feet. He approached the horse slowly, ensuring it didn't feel threatened. The Mustang watched him carefully, its dark eyes filled with a mixture of caution and trust. Jack extended his hand, and to his surprise, the horse didn't back away. Instead, it stepped closer, its nose brushing against his palm. It was a gesture of gratitude, unspoken but deeply felt. Jack knew their journey wasn't over. Together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. The wilderness held its breath, witnessing a bond forged in survival. Jack knew the Mustang needed to reunite with its herd, but the journey back wouldn't be easy. The horse was still weak, its steps tentative as they began to move. Jack walked beside it, offering quiet encouragement. "One step at a time," he said, his voice steady. The wilderness stretched endlessly before them, its beauty hiding countless dangers. Jack's eyes scanned the horizon for signs of the Mustang's herd, but the land remained quiet. The Mustang, though weary, seemed determined. Its ears perked up at every sound, its instincts guiding them. As they traveled, Jack couldn't help but feel a deep sense of connection to the animal. They were two survivors, bound by a shared struggle. The journey was slow, each step a test of their endurance. But with every passing moment, their resolve grew stronger. Together, they would find their way back to safety. The wilderness was unpredictable, and danger often came without warning. As Jack and the Mustang traversed a rocky path, the sound of rustling bushes put them on high alert. Jack froze, his hand instinctively reaching for the small knife at his belt. The Mustang's ears flattened, its body tensing as it sensed the threat. A pair of glowing eyes emerged from the shadows, followed by the low growl of a predator. It was a mountain lion, its lean body coiled and ready to strike. Jack's heart raced as he positioned himself between the predator and the horse. "Stay back," he whispered to the Mustang, though he doubted it understood. The lion crept closer, its eyes locked on its prey. Jack knew he had to act quickly. Gripping his knife tightly, he shouted and waved his arms, trying to appear larger. The standoff had begun, and survival was at stake. The mountain lion circled them, its movements deliberate and menacing. Jack held his ground, his knife glinting in the fading light. "You're not taking us down," he growled, his voice steady despite the fear coursing through him. The Mustang stood behind him, its body tense but unmoving. Jack's attempts to scare the predator seemed to work momentarily, but the lion was persistent. It lunged forward, stopping just short of striking distance. Jack shouted again, slashing the air with his knife. The Mustang let out a loud, defiant whinny, its powerful cry startling the predator. The lion hesitated, its yellow eyes darting between the man and the horse. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the mountain lion backed away, retreating into the shadows. Jack exhaled sharply, his body trembling with adrenaline. "That was too close," he muttered, turning to check on the Mustang. They had survived once again. The encounter with the mountain lion left both Jack and the Mustang shaken, but more connected than ever. As they continued their journey, the horse began to follow Jack's lead more closely, its trust in him growing. Jack couldn't help but marvel at the resilience of the creature beside him. Despite everything it had endured, the Mustang's spirit remained unbroken. They stopped by a small stream to rest and replenish their strength. Jack knelt by the water, cupping it in his hands to drink. The Mustang joined him, lowering its head to lap up the cool liquid. Jack reached out, gently brushing his hand along the horse's neck. "We make a good team," he said with a smile. The Mustang's ears flicked in response, as if it understood. In the heart of the wilderness, a bond born of struggle and survival continued to grow stronger. Days passed as Jack and the Mustang traversed the rugged wilderness. Each step brought them closer to their goal, reuniting the horse with its herd. Jack's keen eyes scanned the landscape for signs of other Mustangs. The horse's behavior began to change as well. Its ears perked up more frequently, and it stopped to sniff the air, sensing something familiar. Jack took this as a good sign. "They're close, aren't they?" he said, watching the Mustang with a mix of hope and anticipation. As they climbed a gentle slope, a distant sound reached their ears, the faint whinnies of other horses. The Mustang's head shot up, its body tense with excitement. Jack smiled, relief washing over him. "Let's go find them," he said. Together, they pressed on, the promise of reunion driving them forward. The journey's end was finally within reach. As Jack and the Mustang crested the hill, a breathtaking sight greeted them. Below, a herd of wild mustangs grazed peacefully in a lush meadow. The Mustang beside Jack let out a powerful whinny, its call echoing across the valley. The herd's head snapped up, their ears pricking at the sound. Moments later, one of the horses broke away, galloping toward them. Jack watched in awe as the two horses met, their movements a dance of recognition and joy. The Mustang he had rescued nickered softly, nuzzling the newcomer. Jack felt a lump form in his throat as the rest of the herd approached, welcoming their lost member back into the fold. He took a step back, giving them space. The bond he'd formed with the Mustang would remain in his heart, but it belonged here in the wild, where it was truly free. Jack stood at the edge of the meadow, watching the herd surround the Mustang he had fought so hard to save. The horse turned to look at him, its dark eyes filled with a mixture of gratitude and farewell. Jack nodded, a small smile on his lips. "You're home now," he said softly. The Mustang let out a low whinny before trotting back to join the herd. Jack's heart swelled with pride and sadness. He had grown attached to the animal, but he knew this was where it belonged. As the herd moved deeper into the meadow, their silhouettes blending with the landscape, Jack turned away. The wilderness was vast, and his journey was far from over. But he would carry the memory of the Mustang's courage and resilience with him, a reminder of the strength found in even the most desperate of battles. As Jack made his way through the wilderness, he couldn't help but reflect on the journey he had just completed. The Mustang's fight for survival had mirrored his own struggles in the wild. Both man and beast had faced insurmountable odds, yet they had emerged stronger for it. Jack thought about the bond they had formed, a connection forged through trust and determination. The wilderness was a harsh and unforgiving place, but it had a way of revealing the true essence of those who dared to challenge it. Jack smiled to himself, his step steady as he moved forward. The Mustang's story was one of resilience and survival, a testament to the strength found in unity and perseverance. It was a lesson Jack would carry with him, a reminder that even in the face of despair, hope could be found. The wilderness was not just a place of danger, it was also a place of redemption. Jack's heart felt lighter as he continued his journey, the memory of the Mustang etched into his soul like a guiding star. Months later, Jack found himself on a ridge overlooking the vast plains. In the distance, a herd of Mustangs galloped freely, their manes flowing like banners in the wind. Among them was a Mustang he had saved, its dark coat gleaming in the sunlight. Jack watched as it led the herd, its movements strong and purposeful. It had become a symbol of resilience, a leader in the wild it called home. Jack's heart swelled with pride, knowing he had played a small part in its journey. He tipped his hat in a silent salute before turning to leave. The wilderness stretched before him, endless and untamed. Jack walked on, his steps lighter, his spirit renewed. The Mustang's story had become his own, a tale of courage, survival, and the unbreakable bond between man and nature. And in the wild, their legacy lived on,